I've got something awesome to show you today. It's this, the Lark M1 from Hollyland. This is a dual microphone, single receiver, wireless microphone kit, and I'm going to open this up, look through the box, show you everything that's in here, and then we're going to have a look at the specs of it in a bit of detail and all the operation, and then we'll have a look at how it works, how it sounds, and test it out so you can see exactly what it sounds like in case you're interested in one. Let's start with this here. This is the case it comes in. It's got the Hollyland brand on it, a neat little zip that goes all the way around with a good handle. It's not one of those metal clip ones that's going to come off in a real hurry either. It's a hard enough case that it's going to protect what's in there, though I don't think it's a weatherproof seal. That doesn't particularly matter, I don't think. Anyway, let's open this thing up and have a look and see what we've got inside here. Now, straight away, we've got this awesome case here. This is a charging case that contains the microphones and the receiver. I'll just put that aside for a second. Also in here, we've got this plastic bag. Now, in here, if I can get the thing open, there are a couple of wind muffs. These are just your standard nice furry muff that clips on the top of the microphones, and we'll see more about how those go on in a bit. I'll put them aside as well. This flap comes down and we've got a packet with some documentation and things in it. It's a quick start guide and a bit more detailed guide and a thank you, let's get in touch card. Also in here are a TRS cable and a TRRS cable. This is useful for hooking the receiver up to a phone or a camera, anything that takes either of these. There are other cables available as well, and I'll show you those in a wee while, but for now this is what's in the basic case. And finally in here is just a USB A to C charging cable, which plugs into the case and also into each of the microphones and into the receiver as well. So let's put the case aside for a second and have a look at what we've got here. Now, this thing's pretty awesome. The first thing to note is it's got the 4 LEDs along the front of it. That tells you the charge and a few other status things as well. In here, we've got the receiver and the 2 microphones. Now, as you can see, when I pull them out, the colors on them all blink and a bit like that, and then they turn blue. That tells you that they're all automatically linked up. Now, the microphones have got a couple of buttons on the side here. This one on the side is the power one, where you can manually power it on or off. Normally you just put it into the case, it powers off and it starts charging. If you want to turn it off in the field to preserve the battery, you can do that by clicking this one here. This next one here is a button that does a couple of utility things. Mostly it turns on and off the noise cancelling. Click it on, click it off. On the bottom of the microphone here, you'll see it's got those 2 studs on either side. That's for the charging case, and it's also got a USB-C in the middle there. You can use that to either recharge it or to power it while you're using it. On the back here is a clip, which is just nice and clippy, and on the top here is the condenser microphone under this metal grill. It's also got a bit of a grill on the front here and on each of the sides. I think that's for the noise cancellation. The receiver here has got 2 indicators, that's for the 2 different lights, and it's got a few buttons on the side as well. There's a USB-C socket there so you can charge up from here. It's also got this plus and minus. If you hit that once, then that puts it into a high gain record. If you push this one, it pulls it back down to normal, and second down to a low gain record. Normally, you're just going to leave it in the middle. The other side here's got a TRS socket and a manual power button, so you can turn this on or off as well without having to put it into the case. It's also got the 2 metal studs on the bottom here, which is what it uses to charge when it's in the charging case. The clip on the back of this is just a normal spring clip, but you'll find that it also fits into any cold shoe adapter, so it doubles in purpose that way. The wind muff has this neat little silicone sleeve inside it that makes it really easy to fit on. It just sits straight on top of the microphone like that. The clip on the back here you can still push in and use that to slip onto your collar or wherever you want it. And that's about all there is to these things. So let's have a look at some of the more technical specs. Now, I don't know a lot about the hair clear noise cancellation technically, but it is reportedly very good. We will find that out for ourselves soon. It uses an algorithm to try and remove as much background noise as it can when it's turned on. When you turn it off, of course, you're going to get a richer, cleaner sound and hear more ambient sound. Personally, I find the best way to use these things is leave the noise cancellation off while you can and hook it up as close as you can to your mouth and use that proximity to the noise that you're making, the sound that you're making, to make the background noise less significant. But it's great to know that the noise cancellation is there if you're in a situation where you don't have an option because it's just way too loud. Now, the storage case here is one of my favorite things with this. It's really solid and robust, and it's going to really protect the devices as well as itself, and it's got plenty of battery in it. The charge time is about 1.5 hours, and it will give you 8 hours of operation on the receiver and on the microphones. With the charge case, being able to charge these about 2.5 times, it gives you a total of around about 20 hours operating time before you have to plug anything into the USB-C. When you do, the USB-C cable just goes straight into the bottom here, and that's going to take 1.5 hours to give you another 20 hours of operation. That's really good. Using the plus and minus buttons here on the side of the device let you set 3 different levels of gain. This means that if you're in a situation where you're a little bit further away from the microphone, you can gain it up to get a bit more response. If you're really close and there's a lot of background noise, you can gain it down to make background noise less significant and have the microphone closer to your mouth perhaps. Normally, you're just going to want to leave it in the middle there, but if you're in adverse situations, in a bit of a weird setup, at least you've got that option there to help you out a little bit to get a cleaner signal. And while we're speaking of clean signals, the Lark M1 samples audio 48 kHz at 16 bits. That's a lot more data than most microphone recorders. The 200 meter range is really good. A lot of microphones, as I was saying, don't get anywhere close to that, but if you're going to stretch it out that far, I do recommend you test it first. 200 meters is a really long way to go, but what that does mean is that you're going to have a much stronger, clearer and more stable signal at say 50 or 100 meters. Always test these sorts of things out in the environment that you're filming in, because you don't know what other devices there are around you, saying cell towers or people with Wi-Fi points or just a whole lot of cell phones running. That can also upset this kind of thing if you're not in a great space. Usually 50 to 100 meters is going to be an unbreakable signal. The fact that it can get up to 200 is really good, but just be careful with that sort of thing. On saying that, the Lark M1 also uses an auto frequency hopping technology, which means that it moves around a little bit, so if it does find some interference on a signal by getting feedback between the transmitter and the receiver, it will hop to a slightly different frequency that doesn't have that interference on it. And that's really, really good technology for a small device like this. It comes with the 2 cables that we had a quick look at before, which is TRS on one end, and one of the cables is TRS on the other end, and TRRS on that end. This is the sort of thing that you want to go into a DSLR camera or a simple recorder, and the TRRS is the type of thing that will go into a cell phone socket or something like that. On top of that, there are 2 other cables that Hollyland will ship, which is the TRS to Lightning and the TRS to USB-C if you've got a cell phone that suits one of those cables instead, but they are a separate purchase. Not everybody needs them. There is a phone compatibility list on the Hollyland website. I'll put a link to that in the description below. And here it is here, and you can see all the phones and cameras that they directly support, though there are a lot more, and most of these things you'll find are generically supported. You can get this in a kit that's only got 1 microphone and the receiver, though I would highly recommend spend the extra 20-30 bucks and get the dual microphone set every time, because if you don't, you will be kicking yourself afterwards. Okay, so let's take this set now and hook it up to a camera and do some sound comparisons and see what it's like. Okay, here I am outside, and I have got the transmitter plugged here and the receiver is on the camera that you're listening to. So I'm going to walk back a little bit, and as you can see, the further away I get from the microphone, the absolutely no difference it makes to the level of audio that you're hearing, which is pretty good. Now, one thing about here is that I do have a road not too far away from me, and there's a little bit of background noise that I can hear. I don't know if you can hear it on the microphone, but also quite a few birds and things around here. So what I'm going to do now is just click on this little button at the bottom here, which is turn the noise cancelling on. Now, as you can hear, it's made a bit of a difference to my voice, but you should be hearing a much more isolated voice and less of the birds, and hopefully no traffic. There's nobody with a lawnmower going at the moment, so we can't hear that anyway. But this is an idea of what it sounds like with the noise cancellation turned on. I'll turn that off again now, and I'll just be quiet for a moment so you can hear any background noise. And then I'll turn it on again, and you can hear any difference between the background noise and disappearing, and whether it makes any difference. Okay, so that's the noise cancellation. The next thing I'll do is give you a chance to listen to it with the gain down and the gain up on high, so you can see what the difference there is. Okay, now I'm talking with the gain turned on the receiver. This is where I've pushed the plus button once, and it's increasing the preamp in the receiver before it sends it to the camera. So as you can hear, there's a fair bit of difference in the volume that's coming through. As I'm recording this, of course, I haven't had a look, but it's going to be really interesting to see it afterwards. Okay, I'll put it back to normal so you can compare. Okay, this is the normal gain setting, and this is the normal volume that I was using before when walking back and forth. And finally, I will hit the low gain, which should actually eliminate quite a lot of background noise, but it's going to make my voice quieter as well. And there we go with the gain on the lowest level. So this is a bit quieter, as you can hear. I'm not making any adjustments to this in post-production, which I normally would to clean it up. If I do some adjustments in post, then it would start sounding a bit more like this. This is the post-production gain adjustment that I've just done a little bit of, so you can hear the difference, particularly with the background noises and things like that coming through. Now, 99% of the time, you're just going to leave that on normal, which I've just switched back to again, by the way. And you might use the gain, the increase or decrease in gain, if you're in a situation where you had to move the microphone a lot closer or a lot further away from your subject. Or you might have a noisy room, in which case you might want to put the microphone closer to the mouth intentionally so that background noise is less significant, and then you might use the negative gain, the lower setting, so that there's less crowd noise, say if you're at a conference or something like that. But other than those edge cases, most of the time you're going to leave it on normal mode. Okay, so as far as the testing goes, I think you can agree that this is a pretty fantastic device. And there's something else I wanted to show you as well, which is going to double up on how cool this is. Now, if you're going to go and shoot something like a wedding, you probably don't want to put one of these black microphones on the bride's white dress if you're getting their audio. Now, this box here contains another one of these sets, and unlike this one here that I bought, this one here I won in a competition from Hollyland, and it's got white microphones and receivers in it. So if you've got somebody who's wearing white, you might want to put this one on them instead, just to hide it a bit better, and the black one on somebody who's wearing black, so it's not so obvious on their clothing. This is great having both of these options available, and I really hope Hollyland make the white set available for retail as well. If you think multiple color options of these would be a great idea over time, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll pass that on to my mates at Hollyland, and maybe they'll do something like make both color sets available, or perhaps some sort of set of skins or silicone skins or something that you can use to cover them up as well and change the color of them. That's a really cool idea. I like that. Anyway, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on these. Please put everything down in the description below. Any questions or answers or anything like that. I do read all of those, and I get back to as many of them as possible. And quite often I use them as ideas for new videos. So if you ask me something down there, chances are I'll answer it by making another video. If this has been a useful video for you, please consider clicking down here and subscribing. That's really important to me. Share, hit the like button, and all all of those sorts of things, and then go ahead and watch this video and this video as well, because they're also awesome things that are going to help you out. And I'll see you in another one soon. See you later.